Hey guys, so this screencast is going to show you a really useful tool in how to find how many base pairs um, your results have actually gotten you versus a standard. So this is called Logger Pro, which is the computer program you're going to want to open up on one of the laptops that we have in class. When you open it up, you should get a screen that looks something like this. Now what we're going to want to do is go to our options here of insert, and then you can see right here we're going to do a gel analysis. So what you'll want to make sure that you have is a photograph of your gel uploaded onto the computer that you're going to be working with. So from your cell phone is a really easy way of doing it. You just email it to yourself and download it right onto the computer, and then be able to find it. Maybe drop the image down on the desktop. And then from there, what we're going to do is open up a gel from the file. Now, what I've got is a gel that I've run previously, that just comes from a different lab. So I'm going to open this up, and you can see all I had to do is select my gel image, and I've got it right over here. So you can see in lane 1 I've got my standard, and then I had a couple of experimentals here in lane 3 and in lane 5. So the first thing that I'm going to want to do is actually set my origin, which is pretty simple. I'm going to get this little crosshair that's going to pop up here, and what I want to do is go right to the bottom of my well. So if you could look real close, you can see there's a bottom of the well right here. That's where all the wells are at, and I'm just going to take that little crosshair and get the horizontal line to match up right with the bottom of the well and just to the left of my standard lane. So if I click right there, you can see this yellow line is going to run right across the bottom of the wells. Now what this software is going to do is measure from the bottom of these wells down to each one of our marks here and estimate base pairs for us. So the next thing that I want to do is go down to this button here and click on it, and this is going to let me set my standard ladder, which is going to be in my first lane, and that's where yours should be also. So now I'm just going to take my crosshairs, and you can see right here it's labeled in my data section, my standard. This is going to be distance, and this is actually going to be measured in pixels, and then I've got my base pairs. So what I need here for my standards is I need to know every single one of these lines, how many base pairs it actually is, and that's the point of a standard. So for me, I'm using a marker called PBR322, which is just a digested plasmid, and I know exactly how many base pairs each one of these lines is, which I can label now and use as my standard. You're using a different standard. Where can you find exactly how far each one of those lines should be? Think about something that you've done before in which you can find those distances. So I'm going to use this crosshair, and what I'm going to do is just drop and click right onto that. And when I click on there, it's going to ask me to enter the amount of base pairs that correspond to that selected band. I know this first one from looking this up is 1,857 base pairs. I hit OK, and it's going to make a mark right here on this graph for me. Okay, so now my next band right below this one, you can see there's actually two bands sitting right there. This one here I know is 1,058 bands. I just know that from looking that up. That's information that I can gather really easily. Okay, so there's my second one. I have this third band. It's very close. I'm going to say it's right there, and I know that that one is 929 base pairs. So you can see what's happening here is it's making a prediction of how many base pairs there are versus the distance that it's actually traveled, the bands have traveled. And this, again, is in just pixels. Okay, so I've got 3 points. I've got 2 more bands that I want to mark. Here's my fourth band, which that one is 383 known base pairs long. And then this one right down here, this more faint band, is 121 base pairs long. Okay, so now what I've got is something called a standard ladder. So now what I can do is I can say, all right, if these are my experimentals, I could click on those, and they're going to fall somewhere on this graph, and they're going to tell me how many base pairs that is. So in order to do that, I'm going to click on this button here, and I'm going to hit Add a Lane. And you can see now lane 2 has been added right down here. So I'm going to double click on lane 2 there and rename this my experimental group 1. You might label it HIN3 digest with lambda. You might label it whichever PST1, whichever lane that actually is, your uncut DNA. But I'm going to label this just experimental 1. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is hit find my band here, click with the crosshairs, and you can see what it's done is it's estimated that is 635 base pairs long, which is pretty accurate from what I'm looking for. This band should be about 620 base pairs, so it's a little off, but it's really, really close. I could say with some certainty that that's what I want that band to be. So now I'm going to add another lane here for this next lane. So now I've got experimental 2. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and mark it as accurately as I can. Looks like it's right about there. And you can see this one is reading 649 base pairs, but they should be the exact same. They might be a little off due to just your error in how close you're able to get. So you can see, like, I'm estimating there pretty well, but they're right within the range in which I would expect. Now what we can do is we can actually go up to File, and you can go to Print Graph. You'll want you to name it. You can hit OK once you name it. And then what we can do is actually print the graph, or we can download it as a PDF, and this can be a huge portion of your results section. So we'll want to make sure that you have the graph, and you'll also want to make sure that you have the data table as a couple of things that you save as results for the lab here. Okay, that's how you use this Logger Pro software in order to estimate your band length and figure out how many base pairs you have in your experimental groups, which is something that you're going to want to do in order to confirm results.